Hello and welcome to episode 19 of a DM's Guide to the Tomb of Annihilation. On today's episode we're going to look at 67, Hall of the Golden Mastodon. And I've got to say thanks very much for your support in our previous episode. If you like this content, remember to like and subscribe, and if you're feeling generous, I've got a Patreon link in the description below. Let's begin. 67, Hall of the Golden Mastodon. So before I go any more detail about this room, one thing I like about this is that you can use this encounter as a one-shot potentially in the Jungles of Chult. And one thing I noticed was for your characters to get into this room is actually quite difficult, because for you to actually access the room and do the trap, you have to go to the command panel and you have to remove that golden handle with the star. You can see this golden handle right here. Your characters will have to physically remove this to trigger this trap. So let's get going then. What happens in 67, the Hall of the Golden Mastodon? So as your characters approach this room, if they have a passive 20 perception, they'll notice that there's a stone block above the door. And if they do a successful DC 20 wisdom perception check, they'll notice this as well. And this block will remain here until this room trap is activated. When a character arrives in this room, you read this message. A life-size golden statue of a mastodon stands atop a 1 foot high stone cog at the centre of this room. Jewel tusks sweep from its jewels, and its trunk is raised in a roar. Inscriptions coil around the statue's body, and murals of the wall show a Chultian warrior riding a living mastodon through a series of hellish landscapes. In each scene, a different breed of devil assails them. If your characters are possessed by Unpredictable Engine tells the character that he wants to ride the golden mastodon. If your character is possessed by Nereus Oblaka is afraid of the golden mastodon and urges her host to not provoke his anger. If the challenge is faced by Chugra Kali and Grom are recounted to her, wise Shimbagwe concludes that the hall was constructed to present similar challenges. The murals on the wall of this room tell a story of Chugra Kali, a Chultian warrior who stole his king's prized steed, a mastodon named Grom. As punishment, the king's sorceress banished Chugra Kali and Grom to the Nine Hells, but the two fought their way back home. On his return, Chugra Kali chopped off the king's head and turned his skull into a jewelled chalice. Any character who studies the murals and succeeds in a DC 15 intelligence history check recognises the legend and can recount it. And the murals show Chugra Kali and Grom fighting spine devils, bearded devils, barb devils, horn devils, and Ainries. So as I said before, I believe that if your characters can't find this room because they have to put the cogs in a certain way and they have to steal this handle to activate this trap. If your characters don't see this and they finish the Tomb of Annihilation, you potentially could use this as a one-shot and place it somewhere in Chult, because there's lots of lore behind the history of the O'Malley families. So with the golden mastodon in the centre of the room, when the characters first enter the room, it's facing the doorway. And the statue is very, very lifelike. And the reason it's lifelike is because this statue is actually Grom that is covered in iron and a thin layer of hammered gold. And those tusks have been set with many gems as well, which we'll discuss in a moment. The inscriptions on the statue are written in Old O'Malley. Let your bones watch over my treasure, brave Grom. As you carried me from the infernal, so shall I rise from death to defend my riches. And if your characters look at the floor, they notice that the cog shows that this mastodon can spin. And any search at the top of the statue reveals the star-shaped indentation in the back of its head. And if your characters have been to the control panel in Area 61, they recognise the lever's star-shaped handle as a perfect match. If you claim the lever and set it into the head, your characters will experience this. A thunderous trampling sound erupts from the mastodon's trunk, causing a block of stone to seal off the room. The cog under the mastodon's feet begins to revolve, letting the statue face each of the murals in turn. If any of your characters are standing the block of stone, when this happens, they need to make a dexterity saving throw, a DC of 15. On a success, the character moves out of the way in either direction it prefers. On a failed save, it takes 10d10 bludgeoning damage. If the damage reduces the character to 0, it's killed instantly, it's crushed to a pulp. Otherwise, it's shoved into the room. This is when things get very interesting. So as discussed before, we've seen that Grom and the Chultian warrior have fought their way through the Nine Hells. This room is a representation of that. So when this golden mastodon starts to rotate, it's going to rotate counterclockwise and it will complete one 360 degree rotation on the initiative count of 0. So as soon as your characters trigger this trap, I'll get everyone to roll initiative. When the statue completes its first rotation, magical fly will erupt from the floor, and it will burn up to 6 feet high. The typical rules of Tomb of Annihilation is the rooms are 12 feet high. Just so you know, your characters could potentially fly overhead. Any creature that's in the fire will take 3d6 fire damage. Any character perched on the golden Mastodon with a clue by engine is shielded from the flames. And the Mastodon can carry up to 6 medium creatures, 4 can be on its back, and 2 can be on each of its carved tusks. So 6 in total. Every time this Mastodon makes a full rotation, from then on out, devils are going to appear. And each of these devils will turn to a puff of smoke when they reduce to 0 hit points, or when there's no creatures left to attack, if your characters are completely killed in this room. So with Mastodon's first rotation, the flames will erupt from the floor. When the second rotation happens, 4 spine devils will attack. When it rotates again, 3 bearded devils will attack. Then the fourth round you have 2 barb devils, then you would have 1 horn devil, and it will finish off with round 6 with 1 Uranus. So one thing you need to watch out for is that your characters might potentially ask to make a bargain with these devils. The only devil that will make a bargain is the Uranus right at the end. So I'm going to explain how dangerous these devils are and how they're going to attack your party. One thing you do watch out for is the room is quite cramped, the floor is on fire, and this is sealed over here. And let's say that your characters make a bargain with the final devil, the Uranus. She will only make a bargain if 1 creature willingly gives their soul. And if that happens, they will burn and turn to ash, and all the devils in the room will be defeated, and that's the scenario over. I never got to experience this room with my player characters, so let me know in the comments below how your player characters got on. Did they enjoy it? Was it a good battle, or did anyone die in this room? Let's continue on and let's look at the first 4 devils you attack. The 4 spine devils. So spine devils are small, and as the name suggests, they're covered in spines. So they have an armor class of 13, 22 hit points, they can fly 40 feet, which they'll be doing, and normal stat array, they have low charisma, but they've got high dexterity of +2. They're resistant to cold, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks, not made with silvered weapons. They are immune to fire and poison. And also they have Devil's Sight, which means that magical darkness does not impede dark vision in the slightest. It has a flyby ability, which means that if it flies and attacks your characters, they can't get an opportunity to attack when it flies away. It has magical resistance, which means the devil has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. This becomes really important because when this room fills with devils, your wizard or your mages will cast area effect spells, which they have advantage with. So they have a magical resistance, which means that they have advantage on saving throws against spells. This becomes very useful to them because there'll be a lot of spine devils in a small room, and mages will typically cast an area effect spell like Fireball to kill them. So what can they do? They have 2 attacks, so one is with its bite and one with its fork, or it can do 2 tail spines. Due to the damage it does, I would get these 4 spine devils to do their tail spine attack, which will do a 1d4 +2 plus 1d6 fire damage. So it will do on average 7 points of damage, which is much higher than the fork or bite attack. So you have 3 bearded devils. As you can see, their beard is very, very important. They have an armor class of 13, 52 hit points, and standard walking speed of 30 feet. And with their stat array, they have high strength and high dexterity and high con. And again, they're immune to fire and poison, and they have the same damages resistances as the spine devils we've seen earlier. They have the steadfast ability as well. It makes 2 attacks, one with its beard and one with its glaive. With its beard, it has a +5 to hit. It does an average of 6 piercing damage, and this is an important part. You have to make a DC 12 Constitution saving throw or be poisoned for 1 minute. While poisoned this way, your target can't regain hit points, so healing won't take effect. And this will work for 1 minute, which means that every round from then on out, your characters will be attacked by all these other devils, and this will stack. And this ability could potentially kill a party member because they can't heal. And with the glaive attack, it does an average of 8 slashing damage. And again, you must do a DC 12 Constitution saving throw if you're hit. You lose 1 d10 hit points at the start of each of your turns due to an infernal wound. Each time the devil hits the same target with an attack, the damage dealt by this wound increases by another d10. Any creature can take an action to staunch the wound with a successful DC 12 Wisdom Medicine check. And a wound also closes if it receives magical healing. The best way to counter this would be a healing word spell you can do in a bonus action. Because if you don't treat these wounds, the d10 will stack and stack, and it can become a very dangerous ability. So we're now on to the round 4, and now 2 barbed devils are entering the fray. So at this point, if your characters have not killed any of these devils, you will now have 9 devils in this room. The barbed devils, they have a higher armor class of 15, almost double the hit points of 110, standard walking pace, and all their stats are now higher. Same immunities and same resistances. They have a barbed hide, which means that at the start of each turn, the barbed devil deals a 1d10 piercing damage to any creatures that is grappling it. With this devil, it can make 3 melee attacks, one with its tail, 2 with its claws, or it can use the hurl flame twice. So hurl flame is a ranged attack, and it does 3d6 fire damage, and if the target's flammable, it will burst into flames. And if I was doing this in combat, I would use the melee attacks. So I would do the 2 attacks with claws, which on average does 6 points of damage each, and then I would do a tail attack, which does an average 10 points of damage. And that's pretty straightforward, you're just attacking, rinsing and repeating. And now we're on round 5, and things are now getting a lot more dangerous, so we're going to get attacked by 1 horned devil. And with a horned devil, he looks exactly as you imagine what a stereotypical devil will look like. So he has big wings, horns, and he's even doing the horns with his hand. So he has an armor class of 18, so it's increased again. He can fly 60 feet a turn, which is increased as well. His strength is 22, icon of 21. He has hit points of 178. And again, same damage, immunities, and resistance as other devils we've seen before. And what can the horned devil do? So he can do a multi-attack, so he'll make 2 with his fork and 1 with its tail, or it can use its hurl flame in place of any melee attack. So for me personally, I would go for the melee attacks, so I go with 2 fork attacks and 1 tail because it's plus 10 to hit rather than plus 7. We're in really close space. You're going to do, on average, 50 points of damage per fork hit, so that happens twice, and then when you attack with the tail, it's similar to the bearded devil's ability with the glaive. The DC is much, much higher. So you're going to do, on average, 10 points piercing damage with the tail, and if your target is a creature, it must succeed in a DC 17 Constitution saving throw, or lose 3d6 hit points at the start of each its turn due to an infernal wound. And same as before, if this wound is not treated, the wound increases this damage by another 3d6 every turn. So again, the best way to treat this would be a healing word spell or lay hands. We're going to come to our final devil in this room. At the final round, round 6, you will then meet the Enrius. So the Enrius, the most beautiful and striking of all lesser and greater devils. They are fierce and disciplined warriors, sweeping down from the skies, and they bring swift death to creatures that have wronged their masters or defiled the rules of Asmodeus. And they appear as male or female humanoids with statuesque builds and large feathery wings. Most wear stylized armour and horned helms, and carry exquisite swords and bows. With this devil, it has high stats, however its stats are actually lower than the horned devil you met before. It has an armor class of 18, it has 153 hit points, it has the same damage resistances and immunities as the other devils we've seen before. However, it has hellish weapons, which means its weapons attacks are magical and they deal an extra 3d8 poison damage on a hit. So what this devil is going to do, it's going to engage your players in melee combat right away. So if I was playing this, what I'll do is I'll use my multi-attack, which means it can make 3 attacks, and I'll use a longsword. It's a plus 8 to hit compared to longbow, which is plus 7, and I'll be using these attacks with both hands. So I'll do 1d10 slashing damage, and then plus 3d8 poison damage. And it also has a parry ability, which means it increases AC by 4 against 1 melee attack that would hit it. So it bumps up the AC from 18 to 22, which means it will be very hard to hit. So with this encounter, it is very, very dangerous and very deadly. If your characters do survive defending themselves, going through the 9 levels of hells, just like the Chaldean Warrior and Grom, they'll be rewarded if they defeat the devils or if they bargain with the final devil. And if they do bargain with the final devil, as I said before, one character will burst into flames as he gives up his or her soul. And once your characters have succeeded in their mission of defeating the devils, or sacrificing one of their own, you read this message. The fires go out, through smoke still hangs in the air. A warm wind blows through the hall, carrying the scent of jasmine, frankincense and grave dusk. The smoke coalesces into a decayed warrior wrapped in bandages. He holds up a gruesome chalice made from a human skull. As you can see here, the undead warrior is Chugar Kari, which we've heard about in the murals before, and he's barely recognisable as the man riding the Mastodon in the hall murals. He has the statistics of a reverend, but he can't be destroyed, and if you knock him to 0 hit points, he'll turn to smoke and he will vanish and reform somewhere in the tomb in the distant jungle. He does not speak, but he holds up the chalice in a manner that suggests he's offering it as a gift. And if the chalice is taken from his hand, he turns to smoke and is gone, and the stone block that seals off the room retracts, and he disappears. And as your character's successfully done the trap. So now we're going to look at the treasure, what have your characters gained from this room, and what's this chalice? Why is it so important? If your characters have a lot of time, such as 30 hours, they can claim all the gold leaf that's on Grom. However, if I was playing Weathers would not allow them to spend 30 hours claiming 2,500 gold pieces worth of gold. There's 50 gemstones, each 100 gold pieces each, that are within the Mastodon's tusks. And if your character is trying to sell this chalice, that item can be up to worth of 2,500 gold pieces, but can fetch up to 4 times that value at an auction if it's sold in a major city. You can return this chalice to princess that is residing in Curse of Baal. So let's look more at this chalice. What can it do? Like, why is it so important? If your characters try to sell this chalice to the princess, she can't afford to pay the characters for what it's worth, and she'll despise them for selling to anyone else. There's 3 Port Nazaru merchant princes who will express an interest in buying this chalice. Ivan Taroa wants to add it to his private collection, Coyote wants to melt it down, and Santi wants to keep it for sentimental reasons. And if your characters deny any one of these merchant princes this chalice and they know about it, they potentially could receive a token from the Utetka Society. And that means that your characters will have assassins after them, which is legal in Port Nazaru. The other thing is, since this chalice is giving to the rightful heir of Omu and person who potentially could rule it one day, you could do this in many different ways. As in, you could have your characters arrive in Port Nazaru and convince the populace that they are, by legend and by fate, the true rulers of Omu. And that can open up quite a lot of political motivations and make an interesting campaign in Port Nazaru. But let me know how you worked with this Skull Chalice, and did your characters actually find it? That is the end of our episode, where we've discovered Golden Mastodon. On our next episode, we're going to look at this cog right here, number 60, Cog of Blood. We're going to go down this hallway, and we're going to look at these 2 rooms here. 68, Hall of Decay. We'll look at the Mechanist Chain, 69, and then we'll finally finish off Gears of Hate with number 70, the Armillary Sphere. So that is the end of the episode. I've got to say thank you very much for watching. And just a quick recap, in the previous episode I was discussing that I was looking for players for the campaign of Icewind Dale, and the feedback's been fantastic. So there's still spaces available, so if you're interested on playing on a Saturday and a Monday, just let me know in Roll20. And again, thanks for the support. If you enjoy the content, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.